Hello and welcome to How to Survive, the podcast that has been 148 episodes in the making, and here we are, 149.
Yep.
Joining me, as ever, on Isla Nubla, as these weird clouds keep forming in the sky, it's Joe Cheval.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I'm happy to be here talking about this movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the movie, and I like the podcast, and I like you. One of those is a lie.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the recent release, is our film for this week. If you haven't seen Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, now is your last chance to duck out before the spoiler jaws close around you and consign you to an untimely spoiling of the film.
Limb from limb, and you'll be spoiled.
Yeah. It's still in cinemas. It's directed by J.A. Bayona, who did The Orphanage and The Impossible. And now
has done The Impossible again by driving a fine franchise.
Well, let's get into that. So last chance before we recap Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and then we'll talk about whether or not we liked the film, and then move on to how we would survive after this.
How many can you save?
11 species. Blue is the last of her kind.
You'll never capture her.
We thought you might know someone who could help.
A rescue op? What could go wrong? Hey, Blue. You know me. Come with me. You know you can't stay here. Pack your men up right now.
It was all a lie!
The man who proved raptors can follow orders. You never thought how many millions a trained predator might be worth?
They're gonna sell them.
Not Blue. They need it for something else. What is that thing?
They made it.
This is the most dangerous creature that ever walked the earth.
In the ruins of the Jurassic World Park, a military team retrieve a bone from the skeleton of the Indominus Rex, which lies at the bottom of the Mosasaurus lagoon. Back in the United States, debate rages as to the fate of the dinosaurs who remain on Isla Nublar. The long-dormant volcano is now active, with an eruption imminent. Dr. Ian Malcolm testifies that they should be left to die, as nature is correcting the mistake Dr. John Hammond made in bringing the dinosaurs back to life. The US Congress agrees, much to the disappointment of Claire, the former manager of Jurassic World, who now campaigns for dinosaur rights. I bet she's a vegan as well. Following Congress's decision, Claire is contacted by Benjamin Lockwood, Hammond's former partner, who is, along with his aide Eli Mills, willing to pay to move every living dinosaur to a sanctuary. They need Claire's handprint to activate the park's tracking system to help them capture the remaining dinosaurs, and she agrees to accompany the mission, convincing Owen, with whom she is now estranged, to come with her, with the promise that he can save Blue, the velociraptor with whom he shared a special bond.
Yeah, so they were the love pairing in the first Jurassic World film, and the movie ended with them like walking off into the sunset in a way.
Yeah.
Apparently that was all for nothing. They're not together now.
Yeah, they had an argument over who got to drive the van.
Really?
Did you not see that scene either?
I saw a lot of the film.
How many times did you piss during this film?
Twice.
At Isla Nublar, a mercenary team escort Owen, Claire, Franklin, a tech guy, and Zia, a paleo veterinarian, to the control facility where Claire reactivates the tracking system.
A lot of demand for paleo veterinarians, is there?
Well, more demand than there is in the real world, presumably.
True.
Owen and Zia venture out to find Blue, but when they do, she is shot and tranquilized by lead mercenary Wheatley. When Owen protests, he too is tranquilized and left to die from the now erupting volcano, while Zia is taken hostage and tasked with keeping Blue alive. After surviving a Baronix attack, a Baronix is just a scary dinosaur. Claire and Franklin escape and reunite with Owen. Claire and Franklin climb inside an abandoned gyrosphere which rolls off a cliff and into the ocean. Owen rescues them, and together they stow away on the mercenary ship, reuniting with Zia. The ship, filled with captured dinosaurs, departs for the mainland, while Isla Nublar is destroyed along with any dinosaurs left there.
The end.
Back on the mainland, the dinosaurs are taken to Lockwood's estate, and Owen and Claire are recaptured and imprisoned in a pen next door to a Stygimoloch.
It's
a dinosaur with a big armoured head.
Yeah, it's got like a dome on its head that it smashes into things with.
Yeah. Maisie, Lockwood's apparent granddaughter, overhears Mills planning to sell the dinosaurs to assorted criminals and warlords. Maisie also learns that Mills has developed a new creature, the Indoraptor, from a combination of DNA from velociraptors and the Indominus Rex, which is able to follow human orders. The elderly Lockwood discovers Mills' plan, but when Lockwood threatens to call the police, Mills smothers him. Owen manipulates the Stygimoloch, the dinosaur,
the hard-headed dinosaur.
Yeah. Manipulates the hard-headed dinosaur into breaking him and Claire out of their cell. The pair discover Maisie, who has found her grandfather's body, and the trio resolve to disrupt the auction. Owen uses the escaped dinosaur with an armoured head as a distraction during the auction of the Indoraptor prototype. Wheatley attempts to sedate the Indoraptor, but is killed when he tries to extract one of its teeth, which is a sort of proclivity that he's shown to have.
Yeah, he
collecting dinosaurs' teeth.
Yep. He's got like a necklace of various animals. I think he's like, oh, this one's a great white shark. This one is a diplodocus. Right.
Mills reveals to Owen and Claire that Maisie is actually a clone of Lockwood's deceased daughter who died in a car accident. This act of human cloning ended Lockwood's involvement in Jurassic Park and caused his estrangement from John Hammond, who was very much against human cloning. The Indoraptor stalks Owen, Claire and Maisie through the mansion, and the group are saved by Blue, who was freed by Zia. The Indoraptor falls through a glass roof and is impaled on a Triceratops skull, killing it. The remaining dinosaurs are freed from their cages by Maisie, despite Owen's warnings, and they escape into the wild. Mills attempts to escape with the Indominus Rex bone, but is eaten by the T-Rex. Owen and Claire leave with Maisie, while Blue and the rest of the dinosaurs escape out into the world. In a Senate hearing, Dr. Malcolm warns that humans must now coexist with dinosaurs. Like it's some kind of Jurassic World. Meanwhile, Blue watches over an American suburb. Is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom any good, Joe?
No. Thank you for listening. Okay, I'm not just being oppositional, right? First of all, I'd like to start with a quote from Robbie Collin,
okay,
who, when reviewing Blade Runner 2049, said, "I felt like I've seen the last blockbuster ever made. If only. If only." This, okay, like I say, I'm not just being oppositional, right?
Okay.
I saw it with my entire family, who all hated it. My wife hated it. And you and I have mutual friends who've seen it who didn't like it as well, right? This isn't like a Joe Sherwood who's got a bone to pick.
A fossil to pick.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not just being a contrarian. I have some genuine concerns with the movie.
Okay.
Which will...
It's nice that you're concerned.
Yeah, I'm very concerned. I'm concerned that this got made, right?
Okay.
But maybe let's just establish that you did like it.
I didn't mind it. I think I enjoyed it quite a bit, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's any good.
Right.
I thought there were some good action set pieces, like the dinosaur and lava scene, where Claire and Franklin are trying to escape from the control center, and lava's dripping through the ceiling.
Right. Okay. So it makes it casualizes the incident.
Yeah. That was entertaining. The volcano explosion was fun. You know, It's always fun to see someone running away from a big crowd, a big cloud of something.
Yeah. And Chris Pratt's a good runner away from.
Yeah, he's good. He's a engaging screen presence, and I quite like the Indoraptor stalking Owen et al. In the mansion. Felt like very Resident Evil.
Yeah.
In a way that the Resident Evil film does not.
Yeah. That is the gothic horror parts are good.
Okay.
To an extent,
because I like the second half when it becomes very gothic horror. I thought that was quite fun, and we can get into this later in more detail. But I appreciated that they did something like notably different to all of the other Jurassic Park films.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, you'll notice that I didn't say that it's like a great film or anything.
You're just shielding yourself from flack. Last night we talked about it, and you were pretty against me. I said I didn't like it, and
there's a difference between me saying it's a really good film and me saying I had a lot of fun watching it.
I suppose so. I mean, the question I guess is, it lives in the shadow, doesn't it, of Jurassic Park, and it always will.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that any sequel to Alien has to live in the shadow of Alien, any sequel to Star Wars has to live in the shadow of Star Wars, it's always going to be compared to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. Because Jurassic Park wasn't just a blockbuster, a summer blockbuster about dinosaurs and monsters, right? It was something more. And in Tom Holland's review of Jurassic World 2, he says that Jurassic Park was a rare movie where science fiction influenced real science. Like, basically, loads of people became paleontologists having seen Jurassic Park as a child, right? So I guess it's like the Jerry Maguire effect, where everyone sees Jerry Maguire and want to become a sports agent. Apparently, it was the most oversubscribed job the year Jerry Maguire came out.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the review of the Star Trek remake that Red Letter Media did a few years ago. It's a Plinkett review.
Mm-hmm.
They basically say that Star Trek is meant to be science fiction, and Star Wars, by comparison, is meant to be science fantasy, which means that in the Star Wars universe, anything you want can just be conjured. You just say, "Oh, we need the flux capacitor," right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can go anywhere to other planets and find it. Whereas in Star Trek, it has an internal logic and exists within a scientific boundary where you will probably have to have like physicists or people on staff to consult to make sure you're getting it right. And Jurassic Park had that in it. It had the sense that these were the first time dinosaurs were seen in movies where it wasn't like they're 7,000 feet tall and they're fighting against moths that are the same size.
Right.
There was a scientific grounding for Jurassic Park where it felt like it was probably bringing that to the mainstream audience, right? You finally get an understanding of what dinosaurs may have really been like.
Okay.
In Jurassic World 2, the question is asked, well, do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? To which the answer for most people in the audience is, yeah, when I watched Jurassic Park, right? So you're immediately thinking, oh, Jurassic Park was a better film. Yeah. It was a lot better.
I mean, the problem is that like that genie can't go back in the bottle, can it? Like they as much as they will try, they will never be able to recapture that
magic.
The scene where Ellie Sattler takes off her sunglasses.
Yeah, and sees like, the Brontosaurus.
Whichever, with the herd.
Brachiosaurus, whoever they are.
They move in herds.
Yeah, right. But yeah, like I say, Jurassic Park had a consistency of logic to it. Jurassic World feels like they're making it up as they go along. Like suddenly you've got a dinosaur who's the big bad, who can sprint, jump, play dead, smile, talk, stalk, climb on roofs, hide in shadows, and seemingly hunt a child for no reason, even though. But what's his motive? Like if you compare it with like in Kermode's review of it, Mark Kermode, who we often talk about because all we do is watch Kermode movies. He compared it to Nosferatu, and he said there's an iconic scene, which I think is the one where Maisie is backing into the shadows and approaching the Indominus Raptor's cage, and it lunges for her. Oh,
okay. I assumed it was when she's in the bedroom and the silhouette of the hand and everything of the Indoraptor is shot through with lightning.
Right, that could be it. That could be it.
Because it's about that. Nosferatu is very famous for its lighting and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think
This is a similar thing.
Yeah.
But the grasp in the air, grasp at someone who ducks away just in time
yeah,
without knowing it, reminded me of Scooby-Doo as well. It happens a lot where they'll be stood next to a painting and
Yeah.
a hand will come from behind the painting and grab at Daphne, but she just misses her. But you know Nosferatu's motive is to be a vampire and get blood. You know the villain in Scooby-Doo is to
yeah.
take over the mansion or run the swimming league or whatever it is. But what's the Indoraptor's motive? Like
It's a predator, isn't it?
But I would have thought it just wants to escape. That would be the logic thing.
I don't think it's. I think it's like. I don't think it thinks on that level, does it?
Well, it gets out of the building and can run for it. But then it goes back in the building.
Well, then that tells you that its motive isn't to escape. Surely, it's to kill things and eat them.
Maybe.
I mean, I'd like to challenge your central premise that Jurassic Park has a depth to the extent that you're suggesting.
Okay.
Because I think that basically Jurassic Park is like an incredibly well-made popcorn movie.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think so. There's no, and I, to be clear, it's an extraordinarily well-made film.
Yeah.
And it's an incredibly entertaining film.
But it's still a Spielberg family film.
But it's the reason it's so revered and beloved is because Steven Spielberg made it. And because he is like a genius.
Yeah.
When you look at the sequels, which are, borderline remakes of the premise of the first film, in the sense that they go to an island which has got lots of dinosaurs on it, they don't have the same
magic.
Exactly. Like even The Lost World, which Spielberg directed, didn't he? I think as well.
I think so.
Right. So there's not a great deal of thematic depth in the original Jurassic Park, aside from the pretty basic. Is it right to play God stuff?
Yeah.
And it's just basically an incredibly a perfectly well made blockbuster with very good direction and an excellent score. So, what is in Jurassic Park that you think is
I would say there's
that other level.
Well, there's certain things, right? As I mentioned, there's the consistent logic with it, where it seems like in this, all they have to do is say, "Oh no, the Indominus can do that," whereas they couldn't do that in.
I mean, you're right to an extent.
Yeah,
but
they could just say Tyrannosaurus could jump 50 feet in the air if they wanted to.
Well, the thing is though, it's not a scientifically accurate film because velociraptors were the size of chickens and they were covered in feathers and all this sort of shit.
I understand.
So yeah, I both take your point and also
I get okay. So another thing that Jurassic Park had, which Jurassic World and its sequel don't have, is this closeness of violence, right? You can feel when you watch Jurassic Park the Tyrannosaurus Rex breathing on them, and when they're in the kitchen, right? The very famous scene of the raptor stalking the children in the kitchen, which is very similar to the scene in War of the Worlds, almost identically, when in the basement. They can't make any sound. They know that the raptor's super smart. It's going to find them. That feels intense. It feels like you're in it. It feels like it's a tactile thing. Whereas what Ben Wheatley says, what he likes making about films, is the feeling of getting your hand slammed at a door. Right. I might be quoting Mark Kermode again here. Right. But it's that closeness of violence.
Right.
Whereas Jurassic World feels very impersonal.
Okay.
At least when people get attacked, they turn into CGI rubber men and just get thrown around and pulled limb from limb. Which Jurassic Park didn't have. There was physical violence to it. If you got eaten by a dinosaur, it usually happened off screen. It would just cut away. I think the only senseless thing is when Samuel L. Jackson's character gets his arm bitten off. But that's the only. The rest of it's pretty cartoony.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah. They're all being eaten by dinosaurs.
But it's different. Compare the guy who's on the toilet in Jurassic Park, where it's just he gets eaten whole by the dinosaur. You don't see anything with the woman.
I think the dinosaur bites him around the midriff and throws him up and eats him.
Fine, but compare that with that. That is it seems like he'd be dead at that point. It doesn't linger on his agony and his like lack of dignity in that moment. I don't know how to explain it.
I wonder if you're misremembering.
Really?
To be honest, yeah, I have a feeling that it's more like because I guess the comparison you're drawing is to Eli Mills dying, right?
Well, any of
In
the
this,
characters,
right?
or in Jurassic World. I know we're not talking
There are
about that.
there are definitely incidences in the original Jurassic Park films where you have that thing where people get bitten and then like thrown and they're screaming in midair and then screaming as they're being eaten. That does happen. That's not a new. But
do you feel that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, this is just my opinion on it. It feels like in Jurassic Park, and I'll stop banging this drum soon, that there is a sort of karmic universe to it where the people who get eaten have a balance to it. So like you have the man who puts profits over human life, like the insurance man who gets eaten when he's on the toilet. You have the thief, Wayne Knight's character, who slips in the mud and gets killed by the oil-spitting lizard. You have the man at the beginning who's like tasering a live animal and gets eaten as punishment. Yep.
Yeah.
But then they're all stopped before they can do more harm, right? Before they can either let the park open when it's not safe, or steal the formula and unleash hell, or keep tormenting this animal. Whereas in Jurassic World 2, that karmic balance has kind of been lost, where you've got the people who are killed are fleeing from things going wrong. And they can no longer...
What, the people at the auction?
Yeah, but I think they can no longer do... This is my point, and call it like nitpicky if you want, but they can no longer do harm at that point.
Well, they are all warlords.
Maybe.
And like arms dealers who are at an illegal arms auction.
Are you expected to worry about like arms dealers in a Jurassic World film? That's the problem.
What do you mean? Like, should you be worrying about the
ethics? Yeah.
Well,
that's not.
That depends on what you want from the film. For me, it was an interesting direction for the narrative to go, and it makes some sense in that you feel like that is what probably would happen. Like if dinosaurs were resurrected now, people would be looking to weaponize them.
Maybe.
And he's also selling them to like pharmaceutical companies and things like that, which again, like that.
Why would a pharmaceutical company want that?
Well, like because lots of animal products go into making medicines.
That's true. Yeah. I think I get it, but do you know what I mean? Where it's like oh, guys steal formula, kill him. You get it. There's a more. It's more like it's the Ten Commandments: don't kill, don't steal.
But
right?
from like just scrubbing back through my memory of the film, it's basically mercenary who shoots Blue dies. Then a succession of mercenaries and like arms dealers die, and then like the auctioneer dies and Eli dies, and that doesn't seem out of step with what you're saying Jurassic Park does.
I think it's that all the arms dealers who are in the movie, or I agree with you, arms dealing is bad, right? That's not in doubt.
They're not personalised.
Yeah,
villains.
It's not like you could plot it on a map. In Jurassic Park 1, you say, evil happens here, repercussions here, right? The karmic circle is complete. Whereas in this, it's like, oh, these guys are just bidding on animals, which I disagree with, selling animals, but that's not enough to have them torn limb from limb. Do you know what I mean? Especially when they're fleeing the scene, because the game's up. They can no longer do harm because their plot is over. Yeah. I'd rather see them go to jail or something.
Right.
Yeah. Let's have them rehabilitated.
Yeah, exactly. Give them a second chance. These Chechen warlords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ethics of the film, I'll stop in a minute, right? They bother me on as much as like, this is supposed to be a family romp with dinosaurs, right? But you've got an old man is smothered to death while he's already dying.
Off screen.
Still. You just like, he grabs the pillow and you're like, oh God, you're going to smother an old man in this film. This is going to happen. It's like, yep, that's happening. He's going to be suffocated while he doesn't want to die. They could have just said, oh, he died in his sleep. That is as effective.
It's not, because it's a villainous act, isn't it? For the villain, it's like this is the point where you realise he's beyond redemption.
it's a bit rich. Do you know what I mean? Smothering an old man is
like
quite bad.
I didn't. I just it's difficult for me to engage with your point because I just didn't have a issue with it. Like it's not that I was like, oh, you know, that's extreme, but I enjoy it or something like that. It's it just didn't raise but
I felt myself taken out of the film.
Okay,
I'm going to say it again. Jurassic Park did not have a scene of a man being smothered in his sleep, did he? Or when he was awake, even.
Right.
There were no smotherings in that film.
No,
to my knowledge.
It's not out. It's not beyond. Like the film's a 12A.
No.
It's a.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's an off-screen smothering is not beyond. I mean, clearly, it's not beyond the content barrier for a 12A.
Well, yeah, evidently, but you know, neither would a close-up of a woman's arse. But you'd say that was inappropriate for this film as well. Like, you know what I mean? There's certain. It's a thing that I didn't like in the film.
Okay.
The same as I'll really will stop now and let you speak. A child realizing that they're the result of illegal genetic experimentation and that her entire life is a lie. She's just like, okay. I'm like, well, what the fuck? That's like Moon or Triangle. That's like some fucked up shit. You just lump it on this kid, and she's like, nah, yeah, cool. And the whole audience is like, yeah, fucking T-Rex, cool. And I'm like, this is existential hell. What is this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we often say that you ask more of movies than maybe I do. Do you know what I mean?
But that's not a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it maybe goes some way to explaining why you were left cold by the film in a way that I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the film never asked you early on, is cloning bad? Right? It's in the last 5 minutes you learn she's cloned, and therefore should the animals who are cloned die. That's like a scene,
I mean,
not a movie.
The film, I guess that she was a clone in the the first scene that she's in.
It's not, well, because her grandfather is like, every time she enters the room, he's in his sick bed with a photo album which she slams shut every time she walks in. Yeah,
like, basically, it's like the story is flimsy, but well, I mean, the story is flimsy, and like a lot of current blockbusters, it has the problem where there's very little narrative tension because you know that they're intending this franchise to run and run.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's a modern blockbuster issue generally. I'm fortunate enough that I go to see these films with my girlfriend, and she's like so affected by even like the slightest amount of tension that she was I had to ask her to stop gripping my hand so much.
Really?
Because it was hurting me.
Which scene?
That would have been the volcano escape.
Okay.
Like, for whatever reason, she doesn't have the thing that you and I have, which is that makes you cynical and go, well, obviously Chris Pratt's not going to die now, is he? Like, she's just like, she's 100% with the film.
Right.
And that's like a joy to be a small part of.
Yeah. I guess that's different. I watched it with people. My dad fell asleep in the cinema.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think, you know, I don't know. If we're going to have more Jurassic films, I would prefer that they do, you know, try different angles on we've resurrected dinosaurs.
Yeah, because I guess what they're trying to do here is Frankenstein, right? It's in a mansion. But then it's not done well enough. There's no like link between Frankenstein and his monster. Like, if Richard Hammond was there, fine, but he's dead. I'll take it. Richard Hammond, John Hammond, Richard Attenborough.
Yeah.
So they've got this.
Yeah, you can say like Benjamin Lockwood
is fine. Yeah.
You wish they clearly wish that John Hammond, Richard Attenborough was still alive.
Yeah.
Basically.
So right around that, fine. Have the
partner,
the farmer from Babe as your man, but then have him as the main villain or hero, or like the guy who has the conflict, not just some incidental character who gets smothered for plot reasons. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
sort of. Like it's like we've watched two different films. Like, I've watched the sort of light-hearted romp, and you've watched the sort of sober cloning drama that has ideas above its like
But
capacity.
it does have ideas about its station because, it, like you said, it tries to be a gothic horror in the last act or the
But
last.
I think
couple
it
of acts.
achieves that, and I think that J.A. Bayona directed The Orphanage, which is an incredibly good gothic horror that we should probably cover one day because it's a fantastic film.
I don't disagree.
So, like, I think the gothic horror parts of it work really well. Like, gothic horror with dinosaurs is an entertaining premise for a film.
But it's not enough of that. There's like gothic horror generally has a tragedy at the end of it. This has like the same old shit. The same old shit as any Jurassic World film or Jurassic Park sequel, where it's like the last shot is guaranteed to be a dinosaur looking out over a plane.
All right, well, is the issue more generally then that you'd prefer for there just not to be any Jurassic films?
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
I would.
Like, where do you think the series goes from here?
Well, presumably it's going to be the next one will be crowbarring them back into this story. They'll probably be together this time because they know they can't get away with estranging them again.
Well, they're not fully together at the end of this film, are they?
Well,
so like maybe it's the recoupling.
Maybe they'll have a baby. Maybe the next movie will be about the dinosaurs breeding. Should they be allowed to breed? That kind of thing. Maybe they'll be part of a emergency response unit.
Can the dinosaurs breed? Presumably not.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, well, there you go. Exactly. Do you think there's enough dinosaurs to pose an issue?
Yeah, they've killed everyone they come into contact with. Like 90% of the people in
But like
in
the first town that they come across, someone's going to phone the police, who are going to phone the fucking army and be like, "There's a T-Rex here," and the T-Rex is just going to get like blown to smithereens, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, also, Blue is a sympathetic dinosaur character.
As sympathetic as a dinosaur character can be.
Right. And I wonder if they're going to test that by having her going to a suburb and massacring people as you would expect from a velociraptor.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding of wild animals is generally they only hunt because they feel threatened. They'll only attack you if they feel threatened or they need to eat. So the whole premise of them just rampaging is like, well, come on.
But they're like often when they're rampaging, it's because in these films it's because they're escaping confines of some kind.
Yeah, so just run. They would run away or cower. Or, yeah,
I don't know. What did you make of the Owen and Baby Blue like found footage stuff?
It's shit. It's like, I guess they were going for like that scene in Interstellar, where he's like looking back through time, like, what's happened to the world, and it's just.
I didn't mind it.
I
didn't mind it. Like, it's just.
Were you sedated when you watched the film?
No, it wasn't. I went along just looking forward to a popcorn movie, and I think you went along looking for something else. Maybe I don't know, or just maybe that you went in like. Not wanting a Jurassic film at all.
As you said before, it's not wrong to ask more of films, like to ask a film to be good, right?
Right.
That's not a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
And if once you can tell, there's, I think, probably conflict between Bayona and the studio, because Bayona wanted to make a gothic horror, probably about Frankenstein, probably about like cloning animals. His granddaughter's involved in the mix. That could have been an amazing story. There could have been a very compelling story about like, are we the same as cloned animals if we're cloned? Does bringing humans into the equation change things? Of course it does, right? That's interesting. But they just botch it because there's this like just need for have like, oh, the dinosaurs are rampaging again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think you made the same point earlier. That you were saying that you want them to do something interesting with these films, and I do as well.
I think they did do something interesting in this film. I think basically splitting the film into the first half is the first hour is the Jurassic Park film that you're expecting, and then the second hour is a gothic horror movie.
Yeah,
I found that interesting.
We've seen with Marvel that it's possible to do an interesting twist on a staid genre.
Which Marvel film?
Logan, for example.
That's not Marvel. Well,
it's Marvel Universe. Okay, but Doctor Strange is different. They're all, Black Panther's different. They have a difference in direction.
Yeah, sure.
And I've heard rumors that Ben Wheatley is going to be brought in, which you'd expect to be a more.
They would be getting him in for a certain
angle they want to do, right? Because he can breathe different life into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. And the same happened with like different Star Wars movies. You can do a different director has a different spin on it. You could theoretically do a noir thriller in the Star Wars universe. You could do a car chase movie in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want because it's so open. The same goes for Jurassic World. But they're just doing the same thing. They're just doing dinosaurs rampaging and everyone's dying. And
I thought it was different enough. I thought it was different enough to be enjoyed. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah. Do you understand where my issues are?
I do understand where your issues are. I think maybe you're like, to some extent, reviewing a film that doesn't exist rather than the one that you watched. Do you know what I mean? Like you're maligning this film for the film that it isn't, as opposed to like finding the positives for the film it is.
I'd agree with that. And there were positives, right? And just to prove that I'm not some sort of like stooge who's just been paid to vote, right? The special effects are very impressive. Mm-hmm. And if you shared a video today in a WhatsApp group we're part of, where it's them acting with just like dummies and empty spaces, which is
it's impressive to see them what
acting is involved. And what came out of it. The special effects are good. That's fine. Chris Pratt's always a treat. Mm-hmm. Like he's a funny guy. He was like just having a good time. That's okay.
He brings a wink and a smile to like the whole.
Yeah, exactly. Thing, like, he knows what movie he's in, even if the film.
I tell you, there's one shot in particular which made me laugh, which was when they arrive on Island Nublar. Claire gets out of like the plane or whatever they're in first, and there's like a close up of her foot landing on the ground,
right?
And it's in like a
flat shoe.
Yeah, it's in like a boot. Yeah. It's in a sensible boot. Yeah, and that felt to me like, yeah, fair enough. Like they've gone like, no, you were right about that.
Yeah. That's, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna concede with you that I'm asking too much of the film.
Okay.
But I don't apologise for that.
No, fine. That's fine. Great. Well, it's a intense discussion.
Yeah.
About an intense situation, Joe. And how would you survive that? I wouldn't survive because I wouldn't want to be part of a film like this.
As soon as I realised Chris Pratt was involved, I know no one was going to take this seriously. I would probably just, if I was Lockwood, the farmer from Babe.
Yeah. I think he's Jack Bauer's dad in
24. Really?
As well, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, why not just?
Fair enough.
Yeah, why not just cast Donald Sutherland?
Yeah.
Too busy making something else. My advice is for him, and I say just tell everyone that she's your daughter. Do it in secret, and just tell everyone that Maisie is your daughter.
Oh, as in a clone?
No, just tell her she's your daughter. No, don't say she's my granddaughter.
Right.
Say she's my daughter.
Okay.
No questions asked. She's not going to wonder.
Well, how old is she?
10, 11.
How old do you think the Lockwoods are?
He's got to be like 60, 70.
60? You're like lowballing because you've realised that it's a stupid idea.
He's a man in his 40s.
Like, women go through the menopause at what? Like,
well, Mrs. Lockwood isn't seen.
She's the woman.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is.
She's the nanny.
No, she's the wife.
No, mate.
Mate.
Look it up. Look it up now.
I'll fucking do it right now.
Do it now. If her surname isn't Lockwood, you owe me a tenner.
What if she doesn't have a surname?
Look it up, mate. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Iris Lockwood. I may have added... There is a photo of her with the child in the photo album.
She's the nanny, mate.
So she's always been the nanny. She was the nanny of the other infant child.
Yep.
Okay, right.
That's my feeling.
Point taken.
Because he fires her.
Yeah.
Rafe Spall fires her. He doesn't.
Well,
he can't fire a grandmother.
Yeah, that's true.
What happens to her? Dead. Fine.
Probably eaten by something.
Yeah.
Because films killing off everyone who doesn't deserve to die, isn't it, Joe?
Yes, they do. Now, to summarise that point.
Tell people she's your daughter.
Yeah, don't tell anyone you did the cloning. Just keep that secret. Say, oh, my daughter's here.
But presumably Eli was involved in it.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah. So Benjamin Lockwood doesn't tell anyone. He is keeping it a secret, and it doesn't help him survive.
Okay, I do have a logic to this.
Okay.
If you just say, "Oh, she's my daughter," and just don't acknowledge the cloning thing, then you don't have to live your life in the shadows and become dependent on two people for your well-being, one of which is out to get you.
I don't think he's living his life in the shadows because of her. He's living his life in the shadows because he's infirm.
I got a mixture of both. I think he is infirm now,
Right.
but we've watched how many Jurassic Park films? He's never been mentioned yet.
No. Well,
because of his love of cloning humans.
Yeah, we know why.
Yeah.
It's because of he cloned a human.
Yeah, he cloned a human, right?
Yeah.
And obviously John Hammond didn't like that and wrote him out of the whole series, which is fine. But if he didn't even tell John Hammond, if he told 3 people who were involved in it, that's okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a fair point.
So what about you? How would you survive?
Well, what I would do, right, is if I was in a submersible going into the domain of a Mosasaurus, is check that the Mosasaurus is in there before you go in there, because they float on in, or not float, swim on in.
Yeah.
I would check that it's in there.
Yeah.
They float on in, and then they're like, "Oh, what if it's in here?" And he's like, "No, it'll be dead by now. Just check.
Yeah.
Just check.
Fly over.
Fly over it.
It's not exactly
Thermal scan it.
Yeah.
Sonar.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Dye. Water.
Just look at it for a bit. Look in the lagoon for a bit.
Fly over in daylight.
Yeah. Exactly. Any of those sorts of things. Just watch the pool.
Drone footage.
Yeah. Probably worthwhile doing that before you go in.
Yeah.
It's probably dead by now is not a risk that's worth taking.
No, we've seen it kill a Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah. An Indominus, in fact. Although I have to say that the silhouetted shots of it were cool.
Yeah? No, you like that sort of thing. I did think this, I'm not just since seeing Jurassic World, I did like Jurassic World, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the twist at the end, which actually goes against the grain on what we say is good, with or what Pixar say is good, and we have to agree.
What, the Mosasaurus eats the...
Yeah, and which is a coincidence that gets them out of trouble.
It is, but then it's not a... it's seeded earlier in the film, which is why I think it's excusable.
Yeah, that's okay. If it just happened, it'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be feel cheated.
There's always a bigger dinosaur.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly like that. Now, that's okay. I've read Moby Dick since then, and my understanding of whales breaching, as they're coming up for air, is that they can't just jump 5,000 feet in the air. That it would just come up for air and then go back down again. I think it's probably the same. It hasn't. It's too heavy to jump.
Sure. Okay.
Bit of a nitpick, but but we love them. We love a nitpick on this show. I sense you're a bit annoyed about how hard I've come down on this film.
I think you've been a little bit harsh, but it's up to you, isn't it? I'm not gonna.
It's on the public record now, mate.
Yeah. Well, there's no going back.
No.
I'll make sure I cancel the podcast with J.A. Bayona that we had coming up.
Mate, I'd be fine having him on.
Yeah.
Because he might just say no, but I genuinely just wanted to make some shit popcorn film. And I'd be like, well, fine, you've done it. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine that. We get a guest of a A-list Hollywood movie on.
Yeah.
You go, we just made some shit popcorn movie, didn't you, mate? Well done.
Well, he said it. I just agreed.
Yeah. Ha! Yeah.
You sure did. Okay, fine. Do you want to know my next point?
Yes, please.
So,
I haven't had enough of you talking.
you do yours then. Do yours then, please.
No.
No, I insist.
No.
I know. I
You
absolutely.
No.
I'll never speak another word.
You first.
I mean, anyone listening to this will think I'm a right bipper, won't they? Well, let me just tell you, you ain't seen nothing yet, right?
Okay.
Tell the people. I mean, tell the kid, Maisie.
Yeah.
Millie, Maisie.
Amazing.
Tell her that don't press that button because it's for the greater good that you don't press that button. And she's like, oh no, they're alive.
She's
like me.
unsupervised, isn't she?
Not really. They're in the room with her.
Yeah, but they turn away in angst.
Well, don't. Okay,
don't leave kids unsupervised.
Here's a quick one. Just stand in front of the button so no one can touch it.
Right. Destroy the button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Break everyone's fingers so they can't touch the button. Like that's
Imagine if that was in the film. That would be too far.
well, Chris Pratt just breaking everyone's fingers one by one.
Yeah. They can still push it with their like broken stumps.
Break their arms
Jesus.
at the elbow and the shoulder.
Jesus Christ.
Double down on it.
What's your survival tip?
Just tell her like
Break an 8-year-old's arm.
it's for the greater good. Don't press that button.
All right.
These animals have only been bred for exploitation and for human happiness and enjoyment, and that's not why animals should be alive.
Yeah.
Recently the northern black rhino died.
Right.
Died out. The females are still alive. The males are dead. They say they can bring it back to life, because they have samples of his sperm. But the question is, would you want to do that? Because the issue would be you'd just be bringing it back to make us happy and not to give it a good life. There's no way that the northern black rhino can now have a nice existence because we've already driven it extinct, right?
Right.
So just let it die.
Okay.
That's basically what I'd say to her.
You get like 5 words into it and she'd already be like pressing the button.
Slamming it, yeah. Barbara Streisand cloned her dog.
Yes.
And Peter wrote to her, and I want to paraphrase that now with advice I'd give to Millie.
Okay.
Maisie.
Mm-hmm.
We all want our beloved dinosaurs to live forever. But while it may sound like a good idea, cloning doesn't achieve that. Instead, it creates a new and different dinosaur who has only the physical characteristics of the original. Animal personalities and quirks and very essence simply cannot be replicated. And when you consider that millions of wonderful adoptable animals are languishing in animal shelters every year or dying in terrifying ways when abandoned, you realise that cloning adds to the homeless animal population crisis. And because cloning has a high failure rate, so many dinosaurs are caged and tormented for every birth that actually occurs. So that's not fair to them, despite the best intentions. We feel Barbara's grief at losing her beloved dog, but would like to have talked her out of cloning more dinosaurs. I might be misremembering some of that.
Okay. So So you'd explain to Maisie that cloning's bad.
Cloning is bad.
Yeah.
But she's a clone.
Is that going to help her survive?
Well, evidently not. Clones don't live past infancy normally.
Right. She has.
She's not
an infant.
She's got problems, mate. Dolly the sheep was the sole surviving adult from 277 distinct attempts.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah. 90% of cloning attempts fail. Think of all the Maisies who have died in order for her to live.
Yeah, it'd be like the Prestige, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Or like at the end of the triangle.
Yeah.
Moon. There's plenty of situations where this hasn't gone well, but it has been a better film. So what do I know?
Well, let's close on some actually constructive advice.
You don't think that's constructive?
No, I mean, generally, our podcast doesn't offer constructive advice, but I'd like to.
Okay.
So, just in case something like this happens, right, I want to discuss what to do if confronted by a dinosaur.
Okay.
Right? Now, the closest that we have to a dinosaur in the modern world is a cassowary, which is a sort of flightless bird, which is native to the New Zealand area of the world.
You mean New Zealand?
Well, yeah, like that region.
Pacific Islands.
Sure. And I think they can grow up to 5 feet tall or something.
Okay.
Or something.
Mate, you're the expert.
My PhD in cassowary studies is in the post. Now, there have been 221 recorded cassowary attacks, 3/4 of which are from people trying to feed them. Now, what we can extrapolate from that, because of cassowary's similarities to dinosaurs, is that you should not try and feed dinosaurs because they are likely
you will
to
become
attack,
injured. Yeah.
Now, if you're attacked by a cassowary in the wild, generally speaking, running is a good idea.
Okay.
But do bear in mind that the cassowary can run at 30 miles an hour.
Right. Okay. Reminds
So-
me of the grizzly bears we covered in previous podcasts.
Yeah,
They've
so-
got the same speed.
So, make sure you are running somewhere or,
Yeah.
in a direction or something that's gonna aid you, because
Yeah. Or
if you're
running
in a
35 miles
salt
an hour.
flat,
Yeah.
then it's gonna catch up to you. Unless you can run at 31 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. After an hour, you'll be safe.
It's like Roadrunner.
Yeah. So bear in mind that dinosaurs can run very fast. Okay. So
Well, they've got a long gait.
yeah. Now the best advice is, for example, if a cassowary enters your home,
Right.
which is as they are wont to do, I understand.
Really.
They have done. Yeah. There's a video of someone
With a
encountering
cassowary. in their house.
Yeah. Try and put a piece of furniture between you and the cassowary,
Right.
because they're not aggressive animals, but you just want to have that space between you and the physical object between you and the cassowary.
For psychological reasons, as much as anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, put some furniture between you and the dinosaur, or evade them. That's
Is
what
it-
they do in the
yeah.
kitchen scene in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Like, it's,
yeah.
it's, we
It
see
works
it in
well.
practice.
They
Yeah.
survive.
Now, there is one recorded fatality in history from a cassowary attack, in which a 16-year-old boy had his throat punctured by the animal's 3-inch claws. Now, you can start to see the similarities between the cassowary and the dinosaur.
Yeah.
So they've got 3-inch long claws.
Nasty stuff.
Now, the piece of advice drawn from that is to not let it claw at your throat.
Yeah.
And
Does
that's
that happen
good
a lot
advice
in Jurassic
for-
World?
people get bitten on the throat, I'm sure.
Not by their own volition, though. They're not open, like saying, "Please stab me in the throat."
No, I don't think that boy was either.
You're correct, probably.
I wasn't saying don't invite them to claw at your throat. I was saying don't
Protect
let
your
them.
throat. Right.
So on that note,
Do you think he let them?
yeah,
Well, evidently he's dead.
yeah, good. Any final thoughts from you?
Yeah. Can you name a single animal that's used as a weapon by an army?
Dogs.
They're not a weapon, though, are they?
Well, they are,
In what way?
because they're used to attack people.
Do
Do you know that? Have you heard of the phrase "attack dog"?
But they're not using it by armies.
What are they used by then?
Police.
Just police. No army has never ever used an attack dog. Don't look down at your phone like you're going to Google it. Horses.
They're not weapons, though, are they?
They can be.
Can they?
Do you want to be trampled by a horse?
Not really. Okay, I agree with you. Both counts. Do you know what's better than both of those?
What?
A gun.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely. I'll kill both of them and then kill you. You could send your horse
Why
at
are you
me.
killing me? I'm
'Cause
not...
if you're on the opposite side,
Right, I
you'll
see.
send a dog off, shoot that in the head. Send your Tyrannosaurus Rex, shoot that in the head.
How sharp are you?
Doesn't matter. I can have I'll get my other gun out then. I'll get my
What?
5 guns out.
What? Look, if you're bad at aiming with one gun, you'll get another gun out.
I'll get my rocket launcher.
What is happening here?
Right, my point is this.
Right.
Do you know what's better than sending an animal in?
A gun.
Yeah. Buy more guns.
Right. I'm looking forward to Gun World Fallen Kingdom coming soon from Joe Sherville Productions.
It doesn't make sense. Why would I be like, yeah, I'm an arms dealer. Do you know what I need is more living things?
Because some of them have armour that means that they're not susceptible to gunfire.
Do you know what else isn't?
What?
Guns.
Yeah, but people need to fire the guns, Joe.
So I would go like, release Tyrannosaurus Rexes and a couple of Tyrannosaurus Rexes.
Are you saying that there's no military advantage to be gained from having a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Not in the modern world, no. I grant you, Hannibal crossed the Alps with his
Yeah, well, that was a disaster.
elephants. No, it worked.
No, it didn't work. They all died,
Well, the elephants.
pretty much. And then he fucking, lost most of his men. Hannibal was not a success.
Right, he tried it. They were used in war.
Right.
You've got
You're arguing against your own point
I'm
now.
sure they did work. Asian steppe people, they used horses.
What, like Chinese stepbrothers, stepsisters?
Yeah, Genghis Khan and his family,
Right.
Kubla, they all used horses. Like the Dothraki, the Dothraki are based on them. Horse
Okay.
people, they love horses. Dogs for sure, but you know what? None of them had
What?
guns.
Yeah.
And do you know what we have now?
Mm-hmm.
Go on, have a guess.
Is it guns?
It's guns, which means you don't use animals anymore because there's no point. You just shoot people.
So no one in the modern world ever uses animals in warfare.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Write in. If you're a soldier, if you're in the K9 division, howtosurviveshow@gmail.com, at HowToSurvivePod on Twitter.
Because, okay, maybe, here's an exception, maybe. You might want a sniffer dog to find a bomb.
Hmm.
Do you know what would be worse?
What?
A sniffer Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Well, it wouldn't be, because they've got a very pronounced sense of smell.
But it gives the game away.
All right, Velociraptor.
They're
They're the size of a chicken.
You can't train them.
You can. If there's one dinosaur you can train, Joe, demonstrably, it's the Velociraptor.
I have another problem.
Go on.
Why can't the Indominus Raptor go invisible? Because the Indominus Rex can.
That chromosome didn't carry over.
Did it not?
Apparently not.
It's a chromosome, is it?
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah.
Why did they breed? The Indominus Rex was bred with raptors, and that's why they could talk to the raptors in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Why does this need to be bred with raptors? It's already bred with raptors before.
We're making it more raptor-like.
Would you say that they're making it up as they go along?
No. Thanks very much for listening. That was episode 149 of the How to Survive podcast. Email in howtosurviveshow@gmail.com, Twitter @HowToSurvivePod if you disagree with anything we've said. Thank you very much. Next week it is episode 150, and what better way to mark the occasion than returning to our beloved Paranormal Activity franchise. I wish you could see the facial expressions that Joe is going through, having just realised that within the next week he's got to watch Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. The good news for you, Joe, is that it's available on Netflix, and we'll see you back here for that one next week. In the meantime, thank you very much, and don't forget that How to Survive finds a way.
That's good, mate.
Cheers.
Better than the entire film.